Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Yiser again, one of the art teachers here in the district, and I'm here to talk to you about the prompt that is listed on your menu that asks you to find a quote, a song lyric, or a poem and illustrate it in your notebook. So what you're going to need for this today, I'm going to hold it up. You are going to need to find yourself a song, lyric, quote, or poem that inspires you. You definitely need a pencil. I would say you're going to need to use 2 pieces of paper today. Ideally, if you have a scissor, that'd be great. If not, you could tear stuff. That's fine. And a glue stick. Optional items that you might want to collect before you get started working: markers, crayons, watercolors, and brushes, colored pencils. If you have magazines, definitely need some visual references. I'll talk to you about that in a second. If you have stamps, you can get some of those. And pretty much anything else you might want to use in your work. So those are all optional. If you don't have all those things, please don't worry about it. You can totally do this entry with just a pencil if you have it. All right, so I'm going to start off by showing you, let me just flip to my page here, my example. This is the song by Gym Class Heroes, Heart Stereo. And it is a song that says, "My heart's a stereo. It beats for you, so listen close. Hear my thoughts in every note. Turn me up when you feel low." So I really like the song, and I really like the lyrics and the message. I want to share with you a couple cool things that I did on this page. I used newspaper, and I glued it down. That was the first thing I did. And then I painted a background. So I did a whole page with just like blues, greens, and yellows. And it was a blank page with my glued on newspaper, and then I painted it. After that, I went and looked up a picture of an old school like boombox type radio or stereo, and I found this image, and then I used it to help me to draw in pencil all the details. After I finished drawing, I traced it with Sharpie and then used watercolors to paint it in. Again, this is not what you have to do. I'm just sharing my process. This is a pretty cool feature, and I don't know if it shows on the film, but this is 3-dimensional. I added little rings of paper, so I cut 2 strips of paper and then looped them to make them rings, and then I glued them to the back of this cassette tape that I drew on a separate piece of paper. So on a separate piece of paper, I drew this. I also used a visual reference when I drew it. So I had a picture of it on my iPad, and then I just copied it as best I could. Traced it with Sharpie, painted it with watercolors, cut it out, made rings, and it's popping out. And I have a cool little pull tab here that I plan on writing like a secret little message. So that was kind of a fun little detail that I wanted to share with you. I added this. It was my last thing that I put onto my paper. The rest of it, this was stenciled. Being an art teacher, I kind of have a lot of really cool stuff in my studio. So this is something that I had that I was like, ooh, I could use it. So that's just one example, and I wanted to share with you a couple of other examples of different ways that artists have used words in their work. So this obviously just says chair, 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 but yours could be, the entire background could just be you writing out the lyrics of a song or a poem or a piece of writing that you find inspiring, and then your image could be something to do with that. And again, this chair could have been drawn on a separate piece of paper and glued on. It could have been printed off of a computer and then cut out and glued on into the center. Who knows? So I'm just going to flip through just to give you some visual inspiration. This is somebody who definitely used lots of collaging techniques with painted papers and newspapers. This is a little combination. This is really just paint and markers, maybe. Drawing. All right, so now this is my visual reference for my entry that I'm going to do. So the quote that I'm choosing, just for the sake of time, is, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade." So I pulled up a picture of a pitcher with lemons and lemonade, and those look like some mint leaves. So I want to just share with you what I am doing and how I'm doing it. So I used crayon, and I just kind of shaded in this whole paper, and I overlapped. I pressed really lightly with my crayon, and I just went in one direction, and I used some yellow and some orange, and then I shaded to like a darker orange with a little bit of red and then some pink up in this corner. And it's really just overlapping. This is how I like to start my journal entries because it just gives you a little more interest. But again, if you don't have colors at home, it's okay. Then on a separate piece of paper, I drew the picture, and I'm not done with this, but I just wanted to show you. I drew some just random little lemons, and I plan on cutting all of this stuff out when I'm done adding color to it. I'm going to use my scissor. I'm going to cut around this. I'm thinking I'm going to make the picture a three-dimensional element. So I'm going to put some little loops, and I want to show you how to do that. So all you really need to do to make loops, if you want to do a visual, a three-dimensional thing, you just need to cut yourself some strips. And the bigger the strips, the more three-dimensional it's going to be. So I would say, you know, this is about the height of my finger. It's a pretty good size. And then you're just going to put a little dot of glue on one side, and then you're going to go around like this, and then you got to hold it for about 20 seconds so that it dries. Just a cool, fun thing to try if you're into it, and don't feel obligated. There's a million ways to do this. So I started to paint my lemons because I have paint at my house, but if you don't, that's okay. You can do this however you want to, but adding some visual interest by making it three-dimensional or adding some color is always a fun thing. When I'm all done and I cut this out and I put it all together, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my words. And I think I'm going to do like probably a more scripty kind of font. So I could write directly on here with Sharpie or with pencil or with marker or with crayon or whatever I have. Or I could write it on a separate piece of paper, cut it out, and glue it in. So however you do it, that's great. I'm sorry this video is a little bit longer than all of my others, and but I thought it was important for you guys to see. Last thing I want to say, if you are really proud of this entry or this prompt, the work that you do, your art teachers, me, Mrs. Revich, Mrs. Arango, and Mr. Stone, are really, really missing you guys. So we would love to receive emails with your work, with a photo if you can, or you can post it if any of us have Google Classrooms that you are a part of. You can feel free to post them there. But no matter what, when we get back to school, bring these things if you're proud of them, because we just can't wait to see you guys, and we can't wait to see the work that you're doing during this time. So, all right, everybody, be well and have fun. Stay creative. See you guys soon.